Hello viewers, my name is Hanuj Mistry and I am from Enduring Faith Initiative. Some of you would have heard about our initiative of trying to spread the right religious knowledge within the community through means of lectures, talks, interviews with various prominent people who know what they are talking about. Towards this end, I am today in the peaceful and serene surroundings of Udvada. When one comes to a quiet place which exudes a certain amount of peace in oneself, one gets to think and ponder about the past, the present and the future, which is very important for a person when one needs to think forward. When a community which is known to have ruled the cultured world once upon a time and has a history of about 10 millennia, one can only gasp in awe at the thought of the mighty heritage that would have been built up over the centuries. What is heritage? Heritage refers to the cultural, the historical, the natural significance that is passed down from the previous generation and needs to be preserved and forwarded to the next generation. It also includes traditions, customs, your religious practices, the art, the science, the various ways of life that people have followed over the centuries, etc., etc., etc. All of which define that community's identity and contribute to its sense of belonging and continuity. The Zarthoshti heritage encompasses religious, cultural and historical traditions of the Zoroastrian community and the Zoroastrian religion, which is the first monotheistic religion in the world. It includes our sacred Avesta prayers. It includes a belief in Dada Raura Mazda and his divine assembly. We have our Pahlavi writings with us. We have stuff in the form of language, in the form of our customs, in the form of our literature, in the form of our religious places, in the form of our historical sites, you name it, and all that goes into the formation of a perfect heritage, which includes, of course, our religious institutions like Atash Bairams, our Gyaris, our Dakmas, and more importantly, the influence which it has had on other communities over the ages. All this, very importantly, makes us a distinct society, which exhibits some of the best qualities that a human being can be endowed with, the same qualities which has enabled to rule the world. Today, we may be a microscopic minority, but thanks to these qualities, we still continue to be like the diamond which sits in the tiara of a queen, along with a smaller other set of jewels that adorn the crown. As beneficiaries and as trustees of this beautiful heritage that we have, it becomes our duty not only to just safeguard and preserve it, but to pass the baton down to the next generation. It is very important that our future generations understand and appreciate what we've got by way of heritage from our ancestors and use it going forward to build their own identities and cultures and maintain the same. We at Enduring Faith are very passionate about this activity, and we have also found an ally in Mrs. Havove Tarapore, who has her roots physically in Canada, but spiritually her roots are completely in India, and that is why she's taken the step of settling in Udvada for part of the year, where she's taken on a lovely heritage bungalow and transformed it from something that was completely ramshackle and dilapidated to its glorious old self, which speaks for her commitment to our heritage. Speaking of Havove, Havove, who is with us today, is the founder trustee and member of Humta Parsi Irani Foundation, which is a philanthropic foundation which helps Zarthoshtis all over the world for various reasons. And also at the same time supporting the spread of religious knowledge through her various writings. She manages a periodical called Simply Din, which helps to spread knowledge in a very lucid and simple manner. Thank you very much. And now let's move over to Havove. Havove, welcome to this talk.
Thank you,
and
Hanuj.
We would like to hear your views on a host of subjects, especially the theme that we have today with us, which is preserving the future and passing on the baton to the next generation.
Yeah, it's a topic that's close to my heart, for sure.
I'm sure you have it close to heart. That's why we are here today, Havove. Havove, can you briefly outline for us what is your opinion on how to pass on this rich Parsi heritage to our future generations?
Well, Hanos, there are so many organizations and individuals who are trying to do their level best, and they're spending a lot of money and a lot of time, and they're doing a lot of great work. But the problem that I feel, my personal thoughts, are that we are not addressing the issues of heritage and the continuity of it to pass down that torch to the children as a community as a whole. We're completely divided all the time between liberals and conservatives, or traditionals as we are called. But there comes a time when we have to realize that we may have traditional views, we may have liberal views, but there comes a time when we have to act together as one united community to look after our nation. Although we are a people living in India and Canada and US and Australia, we are still a nation of people that is outlined by this heritage. And we have to act like it, no matter which country we're in. We have to act together with one thought, that how to preserve our heritage. And we have to move forward doing that. We have to find solutions. I'm not saying that we have to compromise. The compromise is never the right solution. The solution is always to sit down and understand what two people have different opinions, and then come and find a way that is suitable to both. That is what I hope that we will do as a community. And really, I feel that that is the main point. We cannot be divided, and we have to develop as a community, as a whole community, throughout the nations, India, Canada, Australia, US. We have to divide long-term and short-term strategies, and we have to work together to preserve what we have here in India.
Coming to this house of yours, Havove, you already have a house in Bombay. What made you come to Udwada and settle here and purchase this place and do it up the way you've done it so beautifully?
Well, Hanos, actually we had a flat in Udwada that my parents used to come to Udwada all the time. And even I will be very honest, even when my parents were coming here, I used to think, Mom and Dad, what are you doing coming to Udwada? Udwada, you know. But because they came here, it's really their legacy that my husband and I used to come and visit them all the time. And in doing so, of course, later on we became very fond of Udwada. We took over the flat when my parents passed away. But we started realizing that we wanted more out of Udwada and our stay here in India. And part of that is, our personal reasons. We wanted to come and make sure that we at least have an avenue for when we want to retire. We want to be here. We want to make sure, at least as far as we can, that we can access our cultural, our heritage, our Dungarvari, our Atas Berams when we're old. We wanted to make sure that we have some means of accessing to that instead of just staying in Canada and forgetting about all this. The other thing is, while we were staying in Udwada, it became very apparent, all our friends, even in Bombay, would say, why are you going to Udwada? What's so special about Udwada? And we would be so confused because we came here with a very, we would love to be in Udwada. And slowly we realized that the difference was that we lived in Udwada, even for short periods of time, 1 week, 2 weeks, 10 days. But in that period of time that we used to stay here, we developed friendships with the local people. We began to understand how much effort that they are putting in on a day-to-day basis. Most people, they come to Udwada, they see a beautiful building, Iransha now renovated. They want to come and do Pagepar, Fatafat, train mouse, they will quickly come and they will come and do their prayers, whatever, on a Saro Divas or whatever day that they needed to come. And they will again quickly catch the next train back. So really they're missing out the heritage of Udwada, because Udwada is not just the Atas Biram that is sitting there. Udwada is all the people that are running it. And all the other, not just the people, but the whole gam of Udwada is based on how to run Iransha. Kuwa mati sawarna pani karwano. Pump ne mukwano kuwama, because it changes the electric force in the water. So the Mobeds would take a shower, they would take out the water before nighttime, keep it in the house. Sawarna te pani chula par garam kare, not electric, not gas, but lakrana chula par, to maintain the current of the water, so that when they take a bath, when they're showering or taking a bath in the morning, the electric current from the natural water source of the well, not chlorinated, not anything from the city, they are showering in that, they are coming, then they're looking after so many customs, is what I'm trying to say, and nobody sees it. Nobody sees the kind of effort they put into this. And not only that, but some people kind of come and they feel, you know, Dastuji root banya, Dastuji luti ubaraya, you know, what are we untouchable, are we this? But you don't see how much effort they are taking even amongst themselves to keep their purity, to keep their aura pure, just so they do not come and contaminate that atas padsa. Apre to train ma to badda ave, I have to go, I only have one day. Train ma ave siddha atas brahma jai, kai jatni chokhai chai. What is this? It's not chokhai. They don't understand it. And if they only took a moment to understand what was happening to each of these individuals in Udwada, how hard they try to keep Iransha active, to keep it pure. They face criticism many times for something they do wrong. That's normal in any community, but their effort is there for generation after generation. Sure. The other thing, so we said when we saw this bungalow, my husband and I, Aspi really loves the Gamni life. He wanted the bungalow, he wanted to have a farm, we wanted to have a nice, that's on the personal level. But on my Humatta level, we wanted to have a place where we could showcase the culture. So I hope at some point you can come and take a look at Bagepars, take a look at it from outside. We've put amazing window pictures up there of Shah Kurush. We've done for Rustam Pelvan, we've done for some queens, we've done for, you know, Seamorg. We've kept the heritage. We have Divana, what do you call it? Ondio in the house, just in case. You know, we're also preparing. So do we all really need light all the time? So we want to live in the Divano atmosphere. So it brings us much happiness. And in doing so, we hope to inspire others. This bungalow, though the people who had owned it, I mean, they're very nice people and they have their own, whatever their issues were for abandoning the bungalow for so many years. I think the doors were not open for 35, 40 years. The bungalow had been decrepit. It was actually quite scary to even look at. But it was a nice place right beside Iransha, and it was an opportunity for us, they will maybe upgrade their own bungalows, hopefully. And you know, the property right behind us, I think it's called the Regal Cinema property. Soon after we rebuilt this, not rebuilt, but restored it. We restored it. We didn't change the structure much. We removed some interior walls. But soon after we restored it, the Regal bungalow person who owns it, he said, "You've inspired me so much. Now I'm going to do up my bungalow." And he's working at it slowly. So other people have also come and seen, and they asked me, you know, Sukidu, how did it manage? We had good contractors. We were only here for 10 days. I'm sorry if this is taking too long, but it's good for people who maybe want to restore their bungalows. We were only here for 10 days before we had to leave for Canada. And we got a very good contractors. We had very good contractor called Aditya Dubai. We had interior designer Nawaz Sukheshwala. We have an electrical contractor, Shashikan, I don't know his last name. Fantastic people. We did everything through WhatsApp. Daily we were on WhatsApp with them. They showed us everything. And by the time we came back the following year, the bungalow was almost 90% ready. And after a month or two, we moved in. People were very inspired by it, and till today people walk by and they want to come in and they want to see and they have questions, how did you do? And we're very happy to show them. Sorry, so for taking so long.
Maybe you could tell them people a little about what you intend to do from 21st of March. I believe you have something.
Yes, yes.
You put it out in the paper.
Yes. So from the 20th, see, in Canada, we usually go to Canada and we do our muktad there. Aspi and I, because my family grew up there. But after buying this house, one of the reasons was because we are following the Fasli calendar. So we said because we feel everybody has to do their part. So from Navroz to the weekend following Navroz, 24th, it'll be the 24th, just before Holi. We're going to have a presentation here on the walk through the divine life of Ashur Zarathustra. So people will learn about all the miracles in his life. They will learn about his true stature as a prophet, who he was. Was he an ordinary human being? Was he just a philosopher? No. They will understand much more deeply, and we do hope that people join us for this. You don't have to come all the 4 days, like some people are, my message might have been confusing, but it's a walkthrough. It'll take you maybe an hour. You will learn, you will read, and there's also a lecture by Malcolm Besania on the Saturday, 23rd, in the evening after 5 o'clock, 5 to 6. He will talk about the same topic that you will read about as you walk through. So
great.
Yeah,
that's very nice.
Thank you.
Try and be there, Havove. As many of you can be there, that will be great. It'll be a very good learning experience. As far as this building is concerned, since you redone it, etc., how did you deal with the heritage issues? I'm sure this must be under heritage protection, right?
Yeah, because we're right next to Iransha, we're in the back of Iransha. I think the heritage laws came into place a few years ago where no more high-rises were allowed, and you were not allowed to change the outside facade of the buildings. So although we wanted a big one entrance and all that, we couldn't do that, but it was all right. We also wanted to maintain that heritage, because most buildings in India have owned by 2 families, and they all are big, long buildings that are separated in the middle and so forth. So we were happy to deal with all of that. You could change the inside to whatever you liked. But Toby, we tried to maintain as much as we could. We maintained the same structures, we maintained the same windows. We didn't put up a concrete structure. Well, we added the window pictures, but we had the same framework, the same woodwork, the same tile work. We tried to preserve whatever we could and enhance it a little bit more with just some of our Persian sort of looks.
Your effort really shows.
Thank you.
Beautifully turned out.
Thank you.
How do you feel about Udwara becoming a heritage place?
Udwara becoming a heritage place, there is pros and cons. Of course, we want to maintain the heritage. There's no doubt about it. Do we want to run to the government every time we want to make a change in the kilo? That might cause some problems, and I think that is something that we'll all have to think about. But what's more important, I feel, on a personal level, is are we protecting? We are wanting to protect Iransha. We are protecting the buildings, but are we missing the sort of the real issues? Because Iransha is not just a building. Agyaris and Atisberams are not just buildings. They are spiritual institutions. They are not social institutions. Have Canada or US, I will talk about Canada because I am familiar with Canada. So Canada Maje, we don't have Agyaris and Atisberams. We have halls, we have community centers, which the effort is there, Kapachani Gamuksu, and we will all have a place to pray, and we'll all have a place for ceremonies, and we do our best. It's not we don't do our best over there. We do our best. We're trying our best. But it is not the same as what the institutions are here. The institutions here are built with a specific spiritual design. It's not just an architectural marvel. They are spiritually designed to enhance our spirituality, to make sure that we follow the path. So, apruchem chokhe palwani che, I urvis ga su che, I under no kablo su che, apre under kem avi sakhej, kevri na apre aviej, mobido kevri na under jaj. These are all spiritual science that is related to that. And so my thing about Udwara becoming a heritage place is that yes, definitely protect all of the buildings and structures, but more than that, the buildings and structures are a result or are a manifestation of what the religion is. So apro religion bachavi ne, maintain the structures according to the religion. I'll give you one example. When we came for the first Utsav, we went for the heritage tour that was conducted by some young architect girls. They were not Zoroastrian, but they were trying to show us places in Udwara that were perhaps very decrepit, perhaps in some places the sewage was coming out. And so they took that opportunity to say, see, the sewage is coming out here, and now we have this plan to redevelop Udwada, and we're going to put sewer lines everywhere and everything. So my question to those girls at that point was that when you put the sewer lines, are you taking into consideration the tariqat that our mobids follow? For example, my most dear and favorite Mobid Sahib here is Kakubad Sahib, who in my mind does his very best to follow all the tariqats. I'm sure everybody does, but I mean, we just know him, so I will talk about him. So he will say, Ikra, I haven't been to the station in 8 years. You know, he says, nee, I cannot cross that road because to under sewer line che. I cannot go here because to under electrical wire che. If we do not take these things into consideration when we're building a heritage town, sure, it's the religion that we have to protect, and the heritage of the structures and the environment has to support the religion, is what I feel. So
very true, very true. Coming from this, we see these issues taking root and growing at some point in time. What are the main issues currently that you feel are facing the community, besides the challenges that you mentioned about maintaining heritage in alignment with religious requirements?
Right. So to me, it's quite basic and simple. We need to maintain our structures. There's a lot of abandoned agyaris and atasvirams, and not atasvirams. So there's a lot of abandoned agyaris turning into dadga sahibs. We need to maintain our mobid class in a way that they are able to continue their service to the community. We need to instill faith. These are issues that most communities face. We need to instill faith, and we need to instill practice. The two of them kind of go together. So people will say faith che dador mazda che biju suke. You know, but no, it's not like that. The faith and practice kind of work hand in hand. If somebody just doesn't have faith and just doesn't have practice, like one young girl in Canada told me, Havove auntie, she's a very nice girl, very, very nice girl. But I just don't have faith. I just don't understand, like, what is faith, you know? So, you know, at those days, it was many years ago, and I said to her, you know, Tikra, faith is something that if you don't have it at all and you don't think that there's a God, then only life will bring you to that, unfortunately, that situation where you will at one day ask, you know, why am I here? Where is God? What is all this that's happening to me? And I met her some 8 or 10 years later, Hanos, and she told me, I didn't remember. She looked different also. I'm not very good at faces. But she came in to me right away. I met her at somebody's wedding. And she said, Havove auntie, do you remember me? I said, I tried to remember her. She goes, remember I told you I didn't have faith? And I said, yeah. She goes, you were right. I remembered your words. I went through such a very difficult time in my life. And when I reached out to God, and then I started to have faith, and I remembered your words, Havove auntie. So when you don't have any faith at all or any practice, unfortunately, sometimes life brings you to your knees so that you understand, because it's important to have that faith, not as a punishment, but as just as an education. But when you have faith and practice together, then what you're doing, two things. You're learning how to communicate with Dador Mazda. So for example, if you have an uncle that is in Australia, and you don't know him, and you've never seen him, and you don't know he exists, how will you ever get to know him? How will you ever get to know him? I would say there's a phone, pick it up and call somebody. I have an uncle, do you know? I'm so-and-so. So if you don't make that effort, in that case, in that comparison, I would like to say the effort to communicate is based on that person. You have to make that effort to pick up the phone. The phone in that example is apru akhu kriyakam, apru akhu sadro kasti peyach badukar. All this is the equipment that we have to communicate past this geti, or what we call earth, past the realm of the stars and the sun and the moon and right into Hasti, right into heaven, and to communicate with the Yazids and Amasasvans. How else are you going to do that if you do not have this spiritual equipment? We've been endowed with all of this. So faith and practice is definitely one of the things that we require to encourage in our youth. Secondly, obviously we have to encourage our youth with more than just, more than just Zarthoshti Pero. We have to educate ourselves, and we have to educate them as to the philosophy behind the religion. Help them understand why they're doing what they're doing. Help them with we have a beautiful philosophy that tourists that come to Udwada, now that it's a tourist town, they come here, they read some of the articles I put outside. I've talked to one tourist coming from the Netherlands somewhere for almost an hour out here. She's totally shocked at the depth that we have understanding of God, of ourselves, of our role here as humanity. Why can we not teach that to our children? So we need that education. And beyond that, I think I would think that we have to concentrate on our numbers a little bit and focus on our demographics.